And we are about set to go with race number 1, scheduled for 4 races today here in San Francisco. And there you see the 11 international teams making their way to the start box. All right, Hannah, you had a chance to look over this course. Where do you think the favorite side's going to be coming off of Lisa Darmanen's weather report?
Well, we're going to have some stronger tide in the deeper water, so to the right-hand side of our screen, so they might get a little bit shelter away from that. It's not such a deciding influence in these fast boats, but it'll definitely play an influence in the start tactics.
Getting close, stand by.
So we come off a minute to go. There you see the Golden Gate Bridge, the Marin headlands in the distance as the teams now opt to get into position. And now we are 1 minute away from the start of race 1. 4 races today here in San Francisco.
Oh, it's so interesting to see who chooses to come into the start box early, who late. USA, that's a real feature of Taylor Canfield. Middle of our screen, he loves to lead back and try and control the start. The current is running from the Golden Gate Bridge down the start line. So for me, I think you're going to want to be up towards the higher end of the start line. We can see the pole predictor optimum place to start, the blue triangle on the red line to the left-hand side. Australia are out the back, already foiling with 33 seconds to go. New Zealand, they're opting to be further up the line. Canada, they're the Rolex pole predictor at the moment. That star on the top of their wing suggesting the favourite place to start, but can they execute? It's going to be a big gap at the bottom for Australia to accelerate into. All the boats look a little bit early for me, and I don't see a gap at the top of the line for New Zealand and Brazil. Australia and France are going to be fast coming in here. Switzerland trying to thread the needle. 9 seconds to go. We're watching for the red line to turn white to get things racing here. It's a big pile up at the top of the line. Australia in the middle. Here they come. Perfect by the French. Delapierre's going to be gone at Mark 1 with that start. Absolute magic from the French.
As they approach mark number 1, race number 1 here at the Oracle San Francisco Sail Grand Prix, Quentin Delapierre and the French, they are way clear of everyone else. The sea just parted for them, and the French took it.
All the boats got so dragged up the start line there, Todd, didn't they? And just a big gap. Slingsby a bit slow to pull the trigger. I think he could have gone a bit early, but it's still good news for the Australians as we see the fleet pile around Mark 1, and it's already damage limitation for New Zealand, for Great Britain, and for the US.
So the Kiwis in the back of the pack, and watch Peter Burling work his magic. I put donuts to dollars, Stevie. He does not end up in 11th place when this thing's all said and done.
Well, great place for donuts, San Francisco, that's for sure. But it's going to be hard to find the space in the pack here. As soon as you're out in front like the French, clear, able to line up gate 2 early. I like the move by Great Britain and Canada. They've split away from the fleet. They've got clear wind. They will be able to get going fast.
You can see those boats were struggling with a bit of disturbed air. You've got the Spanish and the Australians there with some boats above them going a little bit faster.
Back of the screen there, Hannah, as well. Look, the US have fallen off the foils in their manoeuvre. You can't afford to make mistakes in those manoeuvres. It's just opening the door for the French. Yesterday in practice, they were flying the boat highest. They were flying the boat most consistent. So that's how high out the water the boat is. Higher you go, the faster you go, but the more risky it is.
Quentin Delapierre and the French out in front by more than 150 meters. And look at the speed on board. Miles per hour, kilometers an hour. That just translates into speed. And now they have the opportunity, Hannah. We talk about this. They get to choose what side they want.
Yeah, that's right, and they look like they're going to be turning right at this mark, and it'll be interesting to see who follows and who chooses to split away.
So at gate 2, the DP World Gate, it is France that have the lead. Here comes Australia. Looks like they are going to follow, as will Spain, winners of last year.
Would expect a little bit less current as they head towards the top of our screen, towards the San Francisco start line. Imagine you're on a treadmill, it's going from right to left, and there's slightly slower speed on the shore by San Francisco, so you're going to be able to get left to right quicker. So they're all moving in out of the tide, but Canada choose to split away. They're trying to sail in more clear wind. At least now Canada have got control of their own decision making, and they will be able to head back to San Francisco a bit further up the leg.
North Star Canada, the winners of the last event. That was last weekend in Los Angeles, the Rolex Los Angeles Sail Grand Prix. And look at this, they are rocking the colors of Rockwool, Denmark. Kind of an homage to Rockwool, Denmark, who were unable to compete because of the accident they had in LA, Stevie. That's a nice sportsmanship touch.
Yeah, just the the CEO of the Canadian team was like, it's a bit of a tough call for the Rockwool Denmark team to not be here. So Canada very much just putting that on as a nice gesture, and they'll be looking for a similar performance to LA.
So the French now out in front. They are cutting across. You see the lead over 100 meters. It is Australia in second, Spain in third, and then Hannah Diamond, look at the pack. They are all mired. 8 boats all looking for something.
And it looked like that right turn really paid off at the bottom. Canada and Emirates GBR are coming back not such on a good angle. They're not making as good progress up the ladder lines as the boats that are coming across from the top of our screen.
It seemed like an early gain left out there, Lisa. What are you seeing on the water?
Well, what I'm seeing is there's that, as usual, we have a bit of compression down the shoreline, so the wind is accelerating, it's giving everyone a good angle. If you go closer to shore, you're sailing less distance, you're also out of the tide, so it's sort of a win-win situation. I mean, the French are doing quite a good job. It's quite patchy, as I said before, so at the top gate where they're about to round, it's quite light, so it's going to get pretty interesting up the top here.
And yesterday, Stevie, Lisa's point, we saw the Australians accelerating out of that top gate, really picking up some speed, so it'll be changing, as Lisa reports, very patchy up at that top end.
Yeah, I think for the teams approaching now, and it's a lot easier for the French and for Australia and Spain out in front. You want to do that last manoeuvre when you're in wind. If you're in wind, it's easier to do a good quality manoeuvre. So for the French now, don't try and be clever, just try and focus on the basics. You can see here Spain, they're already locked in a battle with Australia. They make a little mistake there, touchdown, hit the water. Here come France, stick a good manoeuvre and you're going to get a big, big lead. You see back in the pack, so much harder to have any choice over that decision.
And we said where it's a bigger course, you've got to be sailing fast all the time, so the teams are going to be working really hard to make sure they get the right angle to the wind, and also they're just pushing as hard as they can for boat speed.
Interesting to see another manoeuvre by the French here, Todd. He said, boy, go, she wants to turn left. Obviously seeing more wind on that shoreline, quite a common feature. The shoreline there gives us a little bit of a squeeze on the breeze, bit more pressure, more wind, more boat speed. France happy to lose some distance with a manoeuvre to make a gain later.
But Hannah, do you think that was a smart move? Because now look at the traffic they're going into. Is that weighing into their decision-making there?
It's definitely weighing into the decision-making, but I think it's been really smart because what they've done is they've forced Australia to make a decision. Do we follow or do we split and take what might not be the favoured mark?
Keep coming, Neville.
Here we go, early on in the race. It looks to me like right-hand side of screen, a little bit darker water, probably a little bit more wind where the French are. I think that's a solid call. Should be good news for Canada here. They've had a nice upwind leg, hands out for the Kiwis. Look at that, black foils. A little bit of a loss early on the leg for a long-term gain. They're up to 6th from right at the back of the pack and GBR. The cream rises to the top, Todd.
We talk about this as we saw that in Los Angeles. Canada won LA last weekend. Stevie, their lowest rating was a 6 on day one, never fell below that. So you can afford to have a lower 8, 9, but you can only afford 1.
Well, you can. I think, as we say, the bigger the fleet as we get in here, it's all about that consistency, but it's consistency in all the minor details. The French have done a great job with the manoeuvres. Can they nail another good one here?
As we go on board, this is your T-Mobile for Business 5G camera angle on board the French with that new Kylian Mbappe L'Oreal marking on there, and they are having a great time out there. This is a team, Steve, we've seen before. We've seen it at Saint-Tropez. They do really excel in big wind.
Yeah, I mean, I think back to the last time we sailed in San Francisco. France had the final in their grasp, the whole season final. They had a crash. I mean, you wonder about the gremlins in Quentin de la Pierre's head. It was day one in San Francisco. He was on fire last year. Day 2 was a disaster. Can the French keep it all together? But right now, what a perfect way to do it, although Australia chasing them down will be a concern.
Adding some rudders. Turning up hard here in 2, 1. Coming up.
Here we go. Slingsby makes a decision. Now we're going to see who's right and wrong. About 20 seconds time. France and Australia will come back together. They're about 50 metres apart at the moment. Who's going to have made the right call here? Slingsby's on the attack.
Yes, ready. A little for attack. Okay, stand by.
So much space where Slingsby is at the moment. He's heading away. He's going to have the right of way when he comes back together with France, but who's judged it right? Not a great manoeuvre by the Australians there. A little bit unstable, but they've held it together.
All right.
So the Aussies right the ship, and they sit in second place. Did they do enough here to pick up ground? It looks like it's still going to stay around 100 meters. We go back out on the water. Lisa, what are you seeing? How do you think France looks right now? It's going to be tough for you to see your Aussies sitting in second, maybe third place now.
I mean, I think the French, what they've done really well, they've sailed quite aggressively, even though they're at the front. They've definitely played the offensive game. What they did at the top there also lines them up for the course geometry. So they're thinking way further ahead. And I mean, when you're out in front, you get those opportunities.
Stevie, when Lisa talks about course geometry, what is she saying?
Well, she's talking about you're going to have to do, you can't just sail straight up the course or straight down the course. You've got to do manoeuvres. You've got to sail angles across the course. And they know that by turning right at the bottom, they can set themselves up to do less manoeuvres up the racetrack than if you go left. Australia are going to have to do one extra tack than France, and France have planned that a leg in advance. And that sits on the shoulders of the strategist, and that's the job that Hannah would have had at the back of the boat.
And the sailors on board do have a bit of help with this, because
just worried about the next one up the top here, him laying us not.
yeah, so there is a bit of software on board which shows kind of the mapping in advance, and because we're going to be turning left to go to the finish line here, partly your decision making is based around the wind and the tide, but also you want to minimize the maneuvers. And what Tom Slingsby was referring to there is they think they're going to have to do 1, maybe 3 more maneuvers to get to that next mark.
Of course, it's easy when you're out in front, Todd, as well. You've got the first pick, 'cause if you're in the back of the pack, you could maybe do the optimum course, but you're probably going to be sailing in the disturbed wind of the boat in front of you. And I think that's where, when you look at New Zealand, showing us 5th right now, that's how moving through the fleet is so hard, but it's what defines the champions from the lesser runs.
So you got France coming in right there, sitting #1 right now. Australia sitting #2. See that yellow line, that lay line? They will hit that and then make the left-hand turn, Stevie, and that should give them one last maneuver as they get around that gate, but France still has an advantage.
Yeah, Australia right of way here, though. Great manoeuvre by the Aussies. They've closed the gap down. France are going to be able to cut on the inside, but they've got to nail this manoeuvre.
They get it.
Yeah, they sounded pretty calm on board. On the inside here, Spain, if they can be inside that yellow circle, then Australia have got to be careful. It is right of way France, but not anymore. On the inside, it's Spain, but the Aussies are going to get round the outside. No problem, no drama. That one's clean as Spain dive inside.
So now it's a drag race to the finish line with 3 boats. It is France out in front, Australia closing in fast. They're just going to run out of real estate here in the Pacific Ocean in beautiful San Francisco, California. And race 1 of the Oracle San Francisco Sail Grand Prix goes the way of the French as they pick up the victory, and that is your Emirates winning moment with Australia at 2nd and Spain in 3rd.
Oh, that was slick, wasn't it? Here we go, tight moment, bottom of our screen. New Zealand on the inside. They've got the right of way. Canada have got to give him room. Burling's going to try and squeeze around. The treadmill's pushing him onto that mark. Has he kept clear? Yes, he has. How's he done that? Harry Houdini, Peter Burling has pulled a rabbit from the hat here, and they're up to 4th. Maybe a late move by the Italians trying to dive around the inside. Could be 2 places lost for Canada, but the Blackfoils from nowhere, they're back with a bang.
We talked about it at mark #1 as Peter Burling is a master of working his way through the field. He was 10th, almost 11th off the line, and here he is claiming a 4th, and it looks like Canada will get 5th ahead of the Italians.
Unreal. What a comeback that was, all the way up to 4th again, bottom of our screen. Emirates New Zealand just on the inside of the Swiss. Tricky start for Emirates Team GBR here. They need to get something done, that is for sure, as we see the Swiss. They're up on the foils. They're going to fly away. Seb Snyder, solid start, bit mid-fleet.
That's the line, right? Yeah, 2.
And the Swiss confirming that is the line, and they will pick up 7th. Emirates GBR in 8th. Hannah, this is your former team. They started out so hot in the first 3 events. The last 2 have not been their best.
No, that's right, and I think each of the venues brings its different challenges.
Right.
So, you know, if you don't have such a good race in the first one, you've got to debrief really quickly, turn it around, because there's only a few more chances before you've got to qualify for the final. And
it's Germany, Deutsche Bank. They will claim 9th with Mubadala Brazil in 10th. And unfortunately, the USA looking for a big bounce back on home waters. They will not get it here in race #1 as they will finish in 11th place. 65 seconds away from race #2 at the Oracle San Francisco Sail Grand Prix, day #1. Todd Harris, Stevie Morrison, Hannah Diamond, and Lisa Darmanin with you here, the city by the bay. The USA needs a big rebound in this one as they finished in last place. And remember, last place gets you no points, 10 points to the winner, and it's all about accumulating enough points where tomorrow only the top 3 teams will race in the event final. So here we go, Stevie, 40 seconds before the start of race 2.
Yes, USA have got themselves early back again here. They're leading the fleet back. They're going to struggle to kill the time here. Right-hand side of the screen, Canada are struggling. New Zealand are putting a more powerful displaying towards the bottom of our screen, but the whole fleet is pretty early here. We can see they're all going to have to go quite slow on this time in. I like the position of Canada, and they get the Rolex pole predictor on the top. Old Giles Scott's going to be able to wind it up on board North Star Canada from here, but again, De La Pierre, he comes charging through on that French boat. It's going to be tighter at the bottom of the line this time. It's 9 seconds to go. Brazil in the middle of the line. New Zealand, the fastest boat. France. New Zealand must keep clear. The French are a little bit early. Watch for the line to turn white.
This is the umpires. France early start penalty.
Oh, they've got to drop back behind the whole fleet. So they've got to get behind the whole fleet. They slowed the Kiwis up as well, and it's opened the door for the Deutsche Bank Germany team. They're going to lead at Mark 1, and they could be followed by Mubadala Brazil. It's going to be a pile up here.
Eric Heil in his second season for Germany Deutsche Bank as they come up on mark number 1, the whole shot. Off to their right-hand side, Martini Grail and Mubadala Brazil, and it will be Germany and Brazil going 1 and 2 here in race 2.
Italy and USA 3rd and 4th as well. A complete flip of the results in race 1 at Mark 1. But we've seen it's a long, long race course. It's all about accuracy. Rolex Sprint leader goes to the Germans, but they need to execute this manoeuvre. Australia manoeuvre way early, Todd, and look, they ran out of wind under the whole fleet. The disturbed air of the wind, a slow manoeuvre for the Aussies, but they are now in space as Germany executed. Beautiful manoeuvre on the bottom, and I don't see anything having changed here, Hannah. It's got to be all about the right turn at gate 2.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with that. We know there was a little bit of a right-hand wind shift in the last race, so they've got to keep an eye on for the direction of the wind, but it doesn't look like a lot's changed.
I love the parity in SailGP. First 4 events, 4 different winners, and the winner of the last race here, France, is in dead last. Second place, Australia, they're in 10th. So completely flipped the script here with the Germans out in front, Brazil in second place, and those teams finished 9th and 10th in our first race just moments ago.
Crucial decision at this gate 2 here. I think for Germany it should be easy, but they've missed their manoeuvre. Poor manoeuvre by the Germans. They might just save it. They've turned late and they've got back on the falls. Great save by the German team there. They're going to be easily set up for the right turn. I think it's an interesting decision here for Canada, for Spain. Which way is Spain going to go? Very awkward position for the Spanish. They're going to have to do 2 manoeuvres if they want to turn right, or dip all the way behind the British. Right of way, Great Britain.
Good start also for Taylor Canfield, US SailGP team. They opt for the right-hand side as well. They tuck into 4th place. Red Bull Italy now in 3rd, Emirates GBR in 5th, and Spain in 6th. And here comes Canada, winners of last event, in 7th with Giles Scott.
It seemed pretty tight at gate 2. Lisa, what are you seeing? Are we more open course?
Yeah, it's definitely a more open course. It's getting more challenging out here. You heard Hannah talk about the shifts, so the wind is moving left to right. It is a lot more left, so there's a big mountain that the wind has to come over. So as that wind comes over the mountain, it's changing the direction. So definitely more to play for. And you know, if you're in that 4th, 5th position, it's better not to follow it. It is to do that split so you can get the clear air, which is exactly what Spain did.
I think what's happening here, because the wind's shifting, what that does is it gives the opportunity for teams to sail a bit less distance. You see the German team and the Brazilian team, if you put their angle relative to those ladder lines, they were just progressing up the course a little bit more. Nice shift in direction, and now for these new teams, it's quite rare that they've got the clear wind this early on in the race to actually sail the boat fast and smooth. Voice of Paul Goodison here, strategist on board Brazil. He's trying to now eye up the optimum course. Here they go. Goodison crosses the boat, Macmillan crosses the boat, Martini Grail, left-hand side of screen, she spins the wheel. Germany have got to keep clear. Oh, that's so tight by the Germans. Whoa, that was pretty well judged by both teams there, I think. Had my heart in my mouth anyway. And right now, the Germans have put the absolute lockdown on Brazil, putting disturbed wind onto that boat. Germany will be slowing the Brazilians. Opportunity for the United States team.
Taylor Canfield and US SailGP team come all the way to the border, and then they make their maneuver. They stay on the foils, they stay in 3rd, but here comes Canada, Giles Scott. North Star Canada rocking the Rockwell colors this weekend.
Here we go. We're going to go back on board the German boat here. They've got to react to the Brazilians. Brazil have got the right of way, so Germany have to be confident of being ahead here. You can see their strategist. She's in the bottom cockpit there watching the timing of the board drop. Well judged by the Germans. We're done get a lot tighter than that, but that was pretty perfect for me. Really quite perfect. And I think, talk about here come the Canadian team. So we're going to come back to live. Look, bottom of our screen, right of way green circle around the New Zealand boat. The black foils were last, or not last, but they were right at the back of the fleet again. 10th at Mark 1, already up to 6th. Where does he find that space so early on in the race, Hannah?
I think they're just so good at sailing the boat under pressure, and when they're in a slightly difficult position, you can see they stay really relaxed. I think it'd be a real shame here for the Brazilians and the Germans if they sail each other back into the fleet. They need to separate, just give themselves the space to sail the boat nicely.
So as they come up to gate number 3, it is still Germany out in front. They got the whole shot at mark number 1. They led going down to that first leg, and now they'll have the choice. It looks like they're going to go away from the shore, opting for the right-hand side, and now we'll see who follows and who splits. And it looks like Canada may have the overtake on the U.S.
Yeah, Canada got the right of way here, Todd. So the U.S. team look like they're going to try and turn inside, maybe. No, change of mind on board U.S. They just sneak ahead of Brazil. Well judged. Really tight here. Italy have got the right of way. Oh, that was a tight moment. Well judged, maybe. It's really tight in the pack. Canada turned towards the favoured side. Emirates Great Britain dive on the inside. Dylan Fletcher saw a chance and he took it.
Nice angle there for the Bills.
Brazil are back in the pack, unfortunately, again here. Just get a little bit out of phase, like Hannah said. You get slowed up by other boats around you. Great breeze on board Canada there. Their darker patch of water, they're going to be going real fast.
France still has not found a way like Pete Burling to work their way through the field. They still sit mired back in 11th place. The Australians have moved up to 8th.
Oh, it looks like the Germans have got a boundary penalty. They've sailed too wide on the pitch. That's 20 metres they're going to have to lose. And look, that's just opened the door for the Canadians. Okay, they're trying to maybe save manoeuvres further down the course, but that is an unforced error. That's pretty inexcusable.
Same for the US SailGP team. They also pick up a penalty.
You can't afford to throw away metres at this level of the sport. They've now got the right of way here. Great Britain have got to keep clear. All this does is give the boats behind a chance. That includes the black foils. That includes the ruse. And you don't give those teams a free chance.
Well, Hannah, you talked about boats separating themselves, and at that time you were talking about Germany and Mubadala Brazil. It's Canada now that has separated themselves and Giles Scott.
Yeah, and sometimes if you can find a bit of space on the course, even if the wind's not totally in your favour, just having the space to sail the boat nicely, have a bit more headspace to make the best decision.
Oh, it looks like that. We've got a tight incident coming, but just as we went off screen, the US team, I think they just had a massive incident. Top right-hand side of our screen, they got really loose on the foils, very high. Rudders seemed to ventilate. Looked like they got air around the foils on the rudder. Lost control. Disaster for the US team. Just got way loose there. And already now, Emirates Great Britain are up to 3rd, New Zealand in 4th, and it's just a big mistake by that US team.
And they are dropping precipitously from 4th place now to 10th as they are off the foils. There you see the angle the Americans are sailing at. They've got to get this thing right.
I think as soon as you fall off the foils, if I'm right in saying, Hannah, you get big spray. The boat fills up with water, so you've got to get water out of the boat to get going again.
Yeah, not only are you having to rebuild your speed, you're also having to try and make your way down the course as well, so big loss for the Americans there.
So it is Canada that now takes over 1st place, as they will have a nice cross here, but they will be ahead of the Germans, who were in 1st. They've dropped back to 2nd.
Right, bit of a test of strength now here. We go, Brazil are getting close to the boundary there, so they need to start heading in towards here, building speed. They're accelerating for another manoeuvre, and they're going to head back towards that San Francisco shoreline, but they need to start smoothing out these manoeuvres because they're losing places.
Boy.
This is the umpires. Italy penalty. Port tack boat not keeping clear. Go behind Australia.
Oh, painful for the Italians there. Carl Langford, wing trimmer, used to be on the Australian boat. He'll hate that. He's going to have to pay that penalty a little bit further back. We're going to get to see a little bit of a replay on that. You can see here the Italians, they turn the boat. They're turning onto the give-way tack. They're turning onto port, and if they're not in the boundary, a little bit too smooth, and that was a big judgment call there by the Italians. Too risky. We're on board the US. Look, mid-manoeuvre, they're crossing the boat. Rudder comes out. Look at that. And the whole thing lets go. Just got super loose into the manoeuvre there. Flying too high, too much heel in the boat as well as they crossed. That's just miscommunication between the 3 at the back of the boat.
So now we're back to live racing action. This is race number 2, leg 5 of 6, the penultimate leg, and it is Canada that's got about a 100-meter lead. They've got another maneuver, maybe 2, Stevie, as they'll have to make that left-hand turn. Believe me, that is North Star Canada flying the Rockwell colors for Denmark, unable to go this weekend because of damage to their boat in Los Angeles. And it looks like Canada, if they can hold on to this, it's going to be a big victory for them in race 2.
Yeah, they're really well positioned here. One more manoeuvre for the Canadians. Great Britain there. They're basically saying with that manoeuvre, we'd be happy to take a second here. Trying to set up just one more manoeuvre. Yeah, Giles there, one and in. One more manoeuvre and we'll be into this final turning, Mark. So the Canadians, well, they've not over-celebrated in LA by the look of it. They're pretty much back on form here.
That goes with a 5th that they got in race number 1. So a 5 and a 1 for them would give them some serious points. As you look at France, still back in 11th place, the winners of race number 1. Australia has somewhat right the ship. They are up to 4th place.
Yeah, New Zealand got a little bit out of shape. They were doing well. They're middle of our screen now, sat in 7th here. It's Australia, it's really Great Britain that are the big movers in this race. They've done a fantastic job of finding the opportunities. Seems to be a bit more wind where the Great Britain team are at the moment.
So Canada will take the win in race number 2 here in San Francisco. As the Canadians come to the line, your Emirates winning moment will go the way of North Star Canada as they get the win. And look at this, you've got
Australia dives inside. Todd, Australia
the
had
Germans.
the right of way. They had the right of way. He took that chance. He's passed
This is
the
the
Germans.
Penalty Germany.
It didn't
Not giving
keep
room
clear.
at the mark. Go behind Australia.
Yeah, that's gone. That's penalty gone in a blink of an eye because the Aussies were ahead of them anyway. But what a move by Slingsby, and another place drop back for the Germans. They'll be disappointed there. No love loss indeed. Spain up to 6th as Australia take a 3rd, and they were right at the back of the pack at Mark 1.
Excellent counter, guys.
So it's Switzerland that gets 5, Spain gets 6, and the rest of the fleet comes through. Brazil has worked their way back up to 7th. Well, not a big performance for the Kiwis.
No, they got themselves back in the race, but I think you can just quite easily get tangled up, a bit like we saw with Brazil and Germany. They slowed each other up, and it's quite hard. As soon as you're back in the pack and you're not on plan A, then you are at the whim of the other boats. Other boats can control you a bit. You can't control your decisions once you're back. So New Zealand need to get back to drawing board. 2 bad starts. Race 1, they saved it. Race 2, well, he hasn't been able to pull that rabbit from the hat.
And for the Americans, it is another dead last performance as France comes in. They salvage a 10th after winning the first race. The USA goes 11 and 11 with 2 more races to go. As we get ready now for fleet race number 3, Hannah Diamond, I got to think right now Canada's got to be one of the hottest teams. They have found a groove, and they are working as such a well-oiled machine.
Yeah, and it's interesting how sometimes you can just build a little momentum. The vibe in the team seems really good. And I think, you know, this might just be the beginning for them. They might just be up and up.
Annie Hager, the strategist on the back of the boat. You saw Giles Scott there just to her left. He's more than happy to let her do that interview with Lisa Darmanin. But I think there's a level of trust on that boat right now, Stevie, that's really showing. Yeah, and, you know, I mean, I think just the whole sailing of these boats, you've got to be pushing them fast. You've got to be making high-speed, twitch-based decisions. And I think they're all doing that. You know, Billy Gooderham, flight controller on board that. The grinders are providing the horsepower for it. And, yeah, I think a double-header like we've got here, LA week ago, that confidence, that momentum, it's such a big thing in sport, and it feels like, yeah, we're really seeing it with Canada. Paul Campbell-James doing the wing trimming for Canada. So as we come up on 1 minute to go before the start of race number 3, remember we've got 4 races today and then 3 more fleet races tomorrow. After that, the top 3 teams on points will race in a one-race event winner take-all.
Ratio is 3.3 and holding.
1 minute to go. Beautiful shot of the Golden Gate Bridge in the distance, and now we'll see how this plays out. And Hannah, at some point I got to think everyone's thinking you got to go to the back, let all the chaos start on that right-hand side by the pole predictor, and just wait your time. Have the patience and then shoot it.
Yeah, and I'm still surprised how far up the screen they're ending here. So we know that it's going to be busy at the top end of the line, but it's all about time and distance and how they accelerate towards the line.
So here we go, coming up on 30 seconds to go to race here in San Francisco.
Copy. That's Brad Bull here.
25 seconds away from the start of race number 3, Stevie.
Well, there we are. On board the US boat there, they've slid through the gap at the top of the line, but they are early again. A lot of these boats look early. France, Delapierre, right-hand side of our screen. He's trying to weave his way through. Pole predictor sits on Canada. They've got a lovely big gap in the middle of the line. 7 seconds to go. USA winds it up, but they've got to keep clear at the top. You've got to keep clear, USA. Oh, it's going to
This is the umpire's early start penalty. Germany, Brazil, USA.
That means they go to the back.
Go behind all other
right
boats.
to the back. Great start by Canada, great start by Australia, and they're going to be drag racing in, but Diego Botín on board Spain. He might have the angle to sail faster to Mark 1 and lead.
It's going to be 3 ahead.
Mark's up a little still.
And as they approach mark number 1 in race number 3, this is NASCAR on water, Formula 1 style, as the defending champions from season 4, Spain, get the whole shot. Canada and Red Bull Italy right behind.
Well, last time they led at Mark 1, it was a $2 million win, wasn't it, for them? So huge moment here for Spain. They could really get their weekend up and running with a good performance. New Zealand, another poor performance. Can the Spanish execute from here?
The Spain have a 3 and a 6, and the man at the wheel for the Spanish, Diego Botín, winner of season 4, Olympic gold medalist, Sailor of the Year 2024. So that was a good year. Stevie, Hannah, he's looking to repeat that in 2025.
Oh yeah, for sure, but it's a totally different thing coming in as a defending champion rather than having none of that pressure in your hands. But they've been going well. We haven't seen a lot of them the last 2 races, but they're right up there in 3rd at the moment.
Consistency pretty key here. They're coming into this gate too, so they're going to have first pick of the choice. Rockwell Canada, not Rockwell Canada, sorry, it's the Canadian North Star Canada. I knew that was going to catch me out today with the branding change. So the Canadians there sporting as a nice gesture to Rockwell Denmark, the branding. But yeah, North Star Canada, they found that space. They're going to come back with the right of way. And Annie Hager wanted a slightly better start to give herself an easier option around the course. Well, she's got it. What can they do from here?
Don't worry. I'm ready if you want it.
4 boats out in front right now. They are going to have the perfect selection. It looks like the right-hand side with Spain out in front, Canada in 2nd, Red Bull Italy in 3rd, and the Aussies sitting in 4th.
Happy trucking.
Yeah, tight at the bottom there. Right-hand side of screen there, the New Zealand team. We're actually hearing, I've been a bit critical of Peter Burling starting. I think they're actually struggling with a slight software issue on board at the moment, and they're really going to have to fight hard out there today. Software's so key on these boats, Hannah, isn't it? If you're hitting the start line at 17, 18 meters a second, you're traveling across the line. If that software's glitching a bit, it's pretty hard to judge where that invisible line in the water is.
Well, pretty much all the decisions on board are made so much easier by the software. It's happening too fast just to do it by eye, so it'll be really tricky for them to get around this race course, even seeing where the boundary is to see where's the confine of the course.
Interesting how Australia split away, and now it looks like they might be making some gains here as they go to the border. They'll make the maneuver, and we'll see when they come back. Will they have the right of way?
Germany a bit late to maneuver there for me, Todd. They look like they really forced Brazil off the foils. It'll be interesting to see the way that goes. Yeah, Australia definitely is trying to find some space. I think, you know, to Lisa's point, it's gusty on the water. You can see the dark patch of water Canada and Spain are now in it, and it still looks very gusty out there, Lisa.
Okay, happy to roll up, Diego.
Yeah, it is gusty. I think just generally the wind has died off a little bit, so quite a lot lighter than the first race, which makes it more important to find the big gusts. And the thing that you just pointed out is you might be, you know, 50 meters away from another boat, but in a completely different wind pressure.
Lisa, while we have you, what are you hearing for the next race? We've still got 1 more race to go. Is the pressure going to build more wind, or are we going to stay about the same?
Well, the forecast was good all afternoon. We were a bit worried we weren't going to get enough wind this morning, but it's come in. I think we'll see a pretty similar thing for race number 4.
Okay.
See there, Germany did get a penalty for that incident with Brazil. Left-hand side of screen on our ladder board. They've got to drop back behind Brazil. That was a boat-on-boat penalty. Another mistake by the Germans. I don't think we had any contact, so hopefully won't be penalty points, but they can't be affording to finish at the back of the fleet there. As we see right-hand side of screen, Spain and Diego Botín, he's made a little gain up here, but he's sailing into that shoreline. I think it tends to be often quite gusty there. You might find wind, but you might find a lighter patch.
But the fans have turned out in mass today on a Saturday to see the best in the world compete here at the Oracle San Francisco Sail Grand Prix. There you see the Rolex chasing time, and it is Canada right now that is trying to track down the Spanish. Looks like the lead's about, what do you say, Hannah, about 100 meters?
Yeah, and I think, you know, you can see the difference in boat speed on board. Sometimes if you go to that shoreline, you can come out looking really clever, really smart, but it's just a bit more of a gamble whether there's going to be any wind in there.
The wheel, getting hot here.
Right of way Canada, but Spain are going to try and block them. I think what Spain are thinking tactically there, they could predict that Canada are going to turn left. We heard Florian say Canada are going to go left turn. Now, if you want to control the lead, you take the same mark as the boat behind you, and then you limit their ability to find that different wind. The interesting thing will be the first boat to turn right here, whoever that is. It could be Emirates, Great Britain. If they turn right, they're going to be the ones that have the chance to find more wind. They're the one on the attack.
Tight there. Red Bull Italy having to stay stay clear of the Australians as Tom Slingsby entitled to that mark, and he gets to the inside and shuts that door down on Ruggiero Tito. So it is Emirates GBR, Stevie, the first ones to opt for the other side. We'll see how that plays out with the pressure. But you look down the middle of the course, you're always telling me look for the dark patches, and there's a lot of dark patches out there.
Yeah, you can really see it visually, can't you, Todd? And obviously my coaching's paying off for you because you've spotted that really nicely out there. You can see Spain, they're in a lovely big gust of wind. They've been able to see that. They put themselves in it. What's so interesting in these boats is you actually go downwind faster than the wind. So you can hopefully judge what you come upwind in, you can predict to go back in. And I think that's something, as a slow boat sailor like I was, that's such a different game.
This is race 3, leg 4 of 6. We've got one more race still to go. They'll go down to the bottom of this course, then back up, and then left-hand turn to the finish line.
Yeah, I mean, they've got it very well locked down. I think that decision to do the extra manoeuvre by Spain was tactically a great move to actually then lock the door on Canada as we come back here on the start. We're on our AI cameras on board the bottom of the start line here. Pretty cool watching the boats come in. You can see there's no white line for the teams to see. They haven't got the graphics. They've got to use their own judgment, and it's really tight. They're all getting to the start a little bit early, struggling to judge that acceleration. We see Australia there got stuck in the pack, and Spain, well, they've shown us that if they can get their nose in front, they're pretty hard to beat.
Back to live racing action here in San Francisco.
GBR will likely be left turn, ours will likely be right turn.
There you go, that's the coach, Joe Glanfield. So he's actually on the shoreline there, and I think the coach plays such a big role in it. And you can see, everyone's mapping out these plans. You have your plan A, you have your optimum course. You know how I can do the least manoeuvres, set myself up for the most efficient route. So Joe's on the shore, just trying to keep across the basics, trying to offer that. And you had Rob Wilson, didn't you, Hannah? I don't know how much you'd have Rob in your ear.
Well, I think it's really important that you have someone with a bit more perspective. They've got a little bit more time to think about things. It's all about prioritising the information that comes into the boat, so it can be really useful to have that input.
And Joe Glanfield, the coach, two-time Olympic silver medalist, coach 2 gold medals. So there's a fair weight of knowledge being put into the boats there from the coaching booth. As we can see, he did predict it right. Australia did turn right, GBR did turn left, and now middle of the pack, Great Britain and Australia are going to be close when they come back together. But it doesn't seem like there's that big gain on the San Francisco shoreline anymore, Lisa.
4 down, 3.
Yeah, as I said, it's changing. It really depends what pressure you come in at the time. I'm sitting, you know, at the finish at the moment, and there is breeze where I am at the where I am. One thing I am seeing down on the water, I know you're talking about Australian GBR, but the way that Canada are sailing their boat, they just seem really locked in with this setup. They seem to be going faster, and that's how they're sort of gaining on the Spanish.
Lisa, I'm wondering, we know that Canada have had more time on these new foils. They did a lot of the training. Is there much sort of noise inside the fleet complaining that Canada are doing so well because they've had more time on the T-foils?
Oh yeah, of course there is. Everyone's saying that Canada has an advantage, but if you ask Billy if he has one, he says no, everyone's in the same boat. But yeah, Billy, I mean the Canadians, they just seem really comfortable. We are in a lighter breeze, so these light air rudders, the foils at the back of the boat, makes these manoeuvres very high pressure. There's a lot of pressure on those foils to keep the boat out of the water.
And in full disclosure, all these F-50s are equally prepared, so no one really has an advantage as far as the tech and as far as the speed goes. But we got a great race here. This is like 5 of 6. There you see that mark. They got to go around that, and then the finish line. Australia coming in fast in third on the left-hand side of your screen. Spain will be the first ones to turn, then it'll be Canada. And look at Emirates GBR making gains as well. So we got 4 boats all fighting for a top spot.
Yeah, Emirates Great Britain was actually ahead of Australia at the last cross, so they've lost a little bit there. Australia found a bit more wind. We can see good wind on Canada, dark patch of water. Australia on the inside, they got to make it to this left turn with no more manoeuvres. That's Slingsby's plan now. For Spain, it's a cakewalk from here. Rockwell sponsored there on the board, the front of the Canadian
North Star
boat.
Canada.
Yeah. Man, I knew it was going to get me again. But yeah, the Canadian boat there coming round is going to get it done.
North Star Canada will finish in second, and the Emirates winning moment goes the way of Diego Botín and Spain. They win race 3 in San Francisco.
Australia just got to the mark. Slingsby managed to cut the corner. They're slow. Emirates Great Britain are going to try and dive on the inside, but it's going to be a bit too little too late. Some battle for 3rd and 4th that as we look to the left on the leaderboard, and we see New Zealand. Can they get an overtake on Italy to try and get a good result in this race? It's starting to get crucial for the black foils to pick up some points.
Switzerland will turn in front of them, and they all of a sudden pick up that green circle, meaning they have the right of way. Red Bull Italy, though, in front of the Swiss, and that's going to slow everyone up as Ruggiero Tito is going to try to bring this thing home in a sprint to the finish. Lisa Darmano reported there was more pressure down there, so watch the speeds go up, and the Italians pull away.
Here we go, right of way New Zealand, they dive on the inside. Switzerland have got to keep clear. Burling's going to be aggressive here, you can be sure about that.
Pushing him.
He pushed him up and off the foils. He's going to dive down. It gets pretty wet on board the Swiss boat there. Burling saw a chance, got the overlap, pushed him up, and then he's made that overtake stick.
So 7th will go the way of the Swiss. France rebounds with an 8th.
Tricky race again for the US, Germany and Brazil. These teams have really got to take the opportunity of this bigger course to start picking up the places, because at the moment their weekend's running away from them real quick.
Yeah, the USA right now sitting on 2 last place 11s. If they hold on this, they'll get a 9th place, but that is not going to get it done. Remember, it's 10 points, and here it is one more time. Peter Burling making sure that he keeps Sebastian Schneider and the Swiss away and then pulls on off. So it is the USA that holds on for 9th place, and now the battle for dead last. It won't matter as they come in. Someone's going to get 1 point. That's the key right now, Stevie. It's either going to be Germany, Deutsche Bank, or Mubadala, Brazil that gets that final point.
Yeah, well, Tom Slingsby told us in LA a week ago, every point counts. That's what every coach of mine's told me. So they'll be fighting super hard for this 1 point, because you never know how important that'll be at the end of the season.
So we're set to go. Before we can talk about Brazil and New York City, we've got the matters of race number 4 here on day number 1 of the Oracle San Francisco Sail Grand Prix, as all 11 teams now are into the box and ready to go. 35 seconds. And Stevie, I wonder if everyone has learned where to go and when to pull that trigger, because it seems like everyone's problem has been too early to the line.
Yeah, and it's Italy and Canada that are going to have to go slow from here. North Star Canada have been on fire today, but they need a good start. USA a better position towards the top of the screen this time, and out the back it's Rolex timing that's going to be totally crucial here. See, middle of the line, the Rolex pole predictor 6 on Canada. It's Italy in the middle of the line. Emirates GBR, but de la Pierre on board France again. He's going to thread the needle. Watch for that learn to turn white.
And a great start for the Americans. Perfect time for Taylor Canfield to get to that line on time, but it is France once again the winners of race number 1, and they figured it out. Quentin de la Pierre very aggressive in that box in the first 3 races, and this time it pays off again like race 1 as they approach Mark 1, and it will be the French that will have the lead.
Yeah, great work there. The US team are going to slide around the outside. They've got a good position here. They haven't got the right of way, though. They're going to have to go all the way into the boundary to get space. Blackfalls are giving themselves a chance now, and look how tight it is in the pack. Mubadala, Brazil, good call moving away early here, and expect New Zealand to decide to turn early as well.
France are your Rolex sprint leaders, and here we go. All right, Hannah Diamond, whose position do you like best?
Well, I think the French are positioned really nicely. Biggest change from the last race, I think the wind's definitely picked up. They're sailing much further down the ladder lines, and you can see the water's much darker where they've got more wind there.
Breeze looks good there, and I think what's interesting here is North Star Canada are going to manoeuvre, and they're going to come back at the US. They're going to really pressurize USA's next manoeuvre, so it will be tight at the bottom here as we see the Oracle Cloud giving us the live speeds there. We see France are quick, no surprise. They're out in front in clear wind. The United States are going to have a tough call to make coming into gate 2. They need to nail this manoeuvre now. Canada turn, New Zealand turn and get a bit loose. It's all about accuracy in these last few meters to gate 2. US stick the manoeuvre well there, Todd.
So Taylor Canfield now sits in 3rd place for US SailGP, a team desperate in need of a win or a top 3 finish. It is France, though, that opts for the right-hand side. North Star Canada follows them, and US SailGP just ahead of the Blackfalls, the Kiwis, with the Aussies right behind them. Oh, the Americans!
Oh, the US team, they've had an absolute howler on that bottom roundup. They got too high, they got loose, they parked it. Somehow Burling and the Blackfoils managed to miss round the outside. The Australians went flying around the outside of them, and they're now going to be way at the back of the pack again. It's getting loose with this breeze filling in.
Very limited, it's gonna go in.
So the Americans were sitting in 3rd, and they absolutely come to almost a complete stop. They are now dropping back to 8th place. Meanwhile, on the other side of the course, it is Spain and Mubadala, Brazil having their own little battles. We go back and look at this one more time, Stevie. Just when you thought they've turned the corner, this is going to be a big moment, what happened?
Yeah, hard moment on the flight control there. Hans Henken is in the right-hand screen, as they turn out, they just get too high, and they don't control the timing. Not enough horsepower going in on that wing to sheet it back in. It gets real high, real loose. They actually do a good job getting the wing there, but they just get too high, slip sideways massively, lose all the grip on the foil, and that's just so much distance. Well, look, they're back. It's a great start. They were 3rd place, they're 11th. Mistakes hurt you so badly, and that's just opened the door now for teams like Spain, teams like Australia. They take hold of that opportunity, and the black foils, they're showing in 3rd right now. Good move for them. They need a big race here.
Possibly looking at a 4th different winner in 4 races. It was France, Canada, and Spain winning the first 3. Will it be Australia? Will it be New Zealand coming through to get a win here? They look best positioned right now, Hannah, from this perspective.
Yeah, they look really nicely positioned, and we know that they can sail the boat really well, so it's going to be about choosing the right strategy. This gate at the top, I think, is going to be critical because the fleet is still really compacted, so who can find space and the shortest distance around the course?
All right, we go down on the course. Lisa Darmanin has the best view. Lisa, where's the pressure? Where do you want to be, and which side do you think they're going to opt for?
Well, the wind has picked up across the course. I actually think before it wasn't very good to go out to sea away from the shoreline, but I think right now there is pressure out there, so I expect the French to turn right here.
See good wind on the French boat here at the moment. Right now it looks pretty good. New Zealand are going to turn all 4 boats. Oh, the New Zealand team, oh, they lost the rudders a bit through the middle of that turn. That was a poor manoeuvre. I think they'll be able to recover quick enough. Yeah, look, they're up and foiling again, no problem. They're going to be clean, but now it's Spain are going to be the first boat to manoeuvre away. Australia have got to be sure they're ahead. Oh, it's tight in the back, yeah. Spain are going to be the interesting one. See how Spain do relative to New Zealand and Australia here to see where the gain is on the racetrack.
Yeah, with the Kiwis coming off the foil there, it caused the Australians to slow down like a parked car in front of them, and so Spain at full speed came in up for the inside line. They head closer to shore, but it's still France out in front, the winners of race number 1. Canada in 2nd, the winners of race number 2.
Yeah, Spain were over 80 kilometres an hour out of that turning there with the left turn. It's going to be New Zealand and Australia with the right of way. North Star Canada here, they've got the right of way here, but they've got a little bit of work to do if they can hope to catch the French. I think for them now, this late on in the race, they're going to just try and keep it simple, hang on to a second, and end what would be a great day. Big lefties. Talking about the wind's changed angle, so it started blowing more from the top right of our screen. It's rotated to blow off that shoreline, and you can see they're nearly sailing straight down the ladder lines here. It's actually going to give France a tricky decision to make at the bottom. Do they do an extra manoeuvre and head back towards that side, or do they open the door for the boats behind? Big game for Spain. Spain did find more wind. They cross ahead of New Zealand.
So at the bottom of the course is France that goes for that left-hand side. Canada, they're going to opt for the right-hand side, and it looks like Spain is heading that way as well. They'll have to contend with the black foils, the Kiwis, and the Kiwis will spin it around. Australia will opt for the same side as France. So now you've got 5 boats fighting really for that winning position.
That was a really good manoeuvre by the black foils there. They had to do a double eagle jibe, they call it. They put both boards in the water, turned twice, flip-flopped around it. So easy to get that wrong. They made it stick, and they've now got control over the Spanish. I thought it was going to be opportunity for Spain. Perfect execution by the black foils.
This is leg 5 of 6 in the final race of the day. They're heading up to the top of the course on the right side of your screen. Then it'll be a left-hand turn, a quick shot to the finish line, and someone's going to take the win here. And right now, it looks like France, but look at Canada closing the gap.
Potentially just one more manoeuvre for Canada as well, do you think, Hannah?
Yeah, it's going to be close. If we look further up the course, we'll be able to see whether they can just do one more manoeuvre, because they just need to turn left at this top mark, and that could really make the difference, because France will definitely have at least 2.
So Stevie, is this something that was set up 2 gates ago, or is this just at the last gate?
Yeah, exactly. That big wind shift made it a really hard. You either had to do a very hard manoeuvre like we saw New Zealand do, or take the simple manoeuvre as the French did. But the trouble with the simple manoeuvre, they saved an option at the bottom of the course, but they're going to give them an extra manoeuvre later on. It's always that compromise. You try and plan ahead, but in planning ahead, you probably give yourself a little bit of a problem later. So Canada's going to have the right of way. France are going to be on the inside. It's going to be really tight. It's all about execution of these manoeuvres here. Canada set up.
On course, France still has the lead, but this is going to be close. Remember, Canada's going to come in hot. They stay on the foil, so it'll be a straight shot to the gate for them.
I'm out for the boy. Let's get the pace on first. My right.
You can hear the tension rising a little bit on board the Canadian boat there.
I think France is far enough ahead here, Top, but they've got to stick the manoeuvre. They're going to spin in front. They're going to put disturbed air onto them. Perfect. That's a great manoeuvre by the French.
Happy that all the
Yes, Paul Campbell James talking about higher mode. He's talking about sailing a little bit closer to the wind. Let's sail a bit slower, but try and minimise the distance. Oh, France making an error here. Well, they've opened the door.
Yeah, they have. Look at the speed.
Canada. He's coming. He's Elongage. He's going to try and get over that. Oh, that mistake's going to cost the French. North Star Canada are going to get it done, Todd.
The Emirates winning moment goes the way of the Canadians for the second time today, just edging ahead of the French.
Oh, I can feel her pain. That manoeuvre there, they just got it all wrong, the French. They'd judged it so well, they'd shut the door, but they just didn't execute it properly. New Zealand come home third. Australia are going to take fourth. Spain fifth. The points are going to be so tight, and a great final race for Mubadala Brazil. Marcini Grail and team there, they've held the whole race together. As we see, bottom of our screen, Emirates Great Britain off the foils, and the wheels are coming off for them at the end of today. They've not had a great day, and they're struggling to get round this with the current against them. Could be more manoeuvres to do. Don't expect to see the Emirates GBR way at the back of the pack. Oh, this is a howler for the British team. Look at that, head in the hands there, Nick Hutton. He is not happy.
Over on points. Yep. Gonna get stuck on this mark.
Oh.
Back.
Remarkably calm. We've all been there, haven't we? That's an absolute shocker. We've maybe not all been there on live TV, but that is an absolute disaster for Emirates Great Britain. Little mistakes in that thing is going to cost, and it's not been a great first day for them. They got a lot of work to do overnight.
Emirates Great Britain started off in race number 1 with a decent showing in 8th place, and then a 2nd in race number 2, a 4th in race number 3. They're going to get an 11th in race number 4, so this will be difficult as Red Bull Italy comes through in 10th. And Emirates GBR still on the course. They will finish in 11th. So day 1 of racing is now complete. So 90 seconds away from the start of race number 1. That'll be race 5 officially. 3 fleet races, and then the top 3 again in the event final. So we saw this play out yesterday, Hannah. A lot of teams delayed their entry into the start box, going way to the back and then hitting the line. How do you like the chances today, knowing the conditions that we have?
Oh, it looks like an absolutely perfect day out on San Francisco Bay. I think the teams will have learned a lot from yesterday, and they'll likely line up quite similar in the start, but we'll have to see what happens.
So with the Golden Gate Bridge in the distance, we are just about set to go racing. Here we go, the calm before the storm, and the dance begins, Stevie Morrison. Where do you like to line up with the conditions that we have?
They're all a lot lower in the box is the first thing I'm seeing here, Todd. The Brazilians are back in early. Australia are going to choose to fight from behind there. Bottom right-hand corner of our screen. A lot of pressure on the British team and the Kiwis. They've got to make a move, and they've got to make a move quick. Left-hand side of screen. That start line's red. When it goes white, we're going to be go, and we can see the optimal position is towards the bottom end of the line. The Rolex pole predictor sits on North Star Canada at the moment. 24 seconds to go. The fleet's a lot further back. New Zealand and Great Britain are way back. A lot of work to do from back there. Australia are going to be slow into the start. Brazil well positioned at the top of the line. Can they line things up now? It's about execution. Canada well positioned. Spain well positioned. The French once again. De La Pierre's coming in hot through the middle. Who's got their timing right as that line's about to go white? Oh, North Star Canada again are on the money. What a start by Giles Scott and his crew. Can he drive over the top of the Swiss?
So the race is on with speeds approaching 85 kilometers an hour. The entire fleet of 11 now making their way to mark number 1. On the inside, you've got the Swiss, but it will be Giles Scott and North Star Canada that bring it around and grab the whole shot officially.
Oh, and if the Swiss can just stay overlapped here, Todd, then they've got control of the race. France first to manoeuvre away. I like that move. Gate 2's going to come real quick. And there go the Swiss. Here we go. They're all on the boundary. It's all about setting up for Gate 2 and the Rolex sprint leader. Well, on the inside of the turn, it was the Swiss.
Great work by Sebastian Schneider and the Swiss team as they have now gone ahead of Canada. The winners of the last race yesterday, race number 4. Canadians won 2 races of the 4 yesterday, and the French looked awfully fast again.
Yeah, I mean, they're pretty well positioned here, and I think we saw, Hannah, yesterday that the teams were trying to set up for that right turn at the bottom. I don't see a lot having changed right now. You like a right turn?
Yeah, I think you're probably right. The same approach for today, and I think it's all about they're going to have to do one more manoeuvre if they want to turn right, so who can set themselves up well for that?
Hovering right around 45 miles an hour. There you see the fleet, 11 boats. Denmark unable to go today. And you might get a little confused as you look at Canada. They've got the Rockwell Denmark brandy. They are doing that as an homage to the Danes who are unable to race because of the boat damage had in Los Angeles.
Here we go, should be able to come in nice and smooth here. That's the voice of Arno Sarafagis, the wing trimmer there, really helping, talking through there with Seb Snyder. French in second, Canada third. Right-hand side of screen, Great Britain and Australia a little bit back. New Zealand are even further back. They're going to struggle to make the final if they can't get a good result in race 1 today.
At gate number 2, the DP World Gate, it is the Swiss out in front. France now sits in second place, and North Star Canada drops into third. Spain will follow. They are the defending champions from last year. And look at this, Mubadala Brazil and the Aussies will peel away. But look at Germany on the inside. This will be tight.
Yeah, Germany have got room in there, but can Brazil get round the outside? No, good decision by Marchini. Gives a little bit of space to the German team there. It was really tight, and we're going to learn about the course at this stage. And the best way to learn about the course, let's get down on the water with Lisa Darmanin. Do you think that right turn towards the shore's the call again today, Lise?
I actually think it's not as strong as the other days. It's quite light wind in there. You're seeing the teams struggle to do their manoeuvres. I think it's a bit more open course. I think where Brazil went, I actually think there's breeze, but at the top end of the course, or where they're going now, that's when you want to get to shore near the grandstand.
Okay, as they make their way up, remember this is going to be that 6 legs. There you see the green and the yellow circles. Green means you've got priority. Red means you have to dip behind or give way.
Really tight. Canada have gone fast after here. It looks like they've got past the French. They're going to manoeuvre and have the right of way. Swiss, though, well positioned. They'll be looking to turn right in front of Canada here.
Standing by. 2, 1, going forward. And turning. Nice pressure.
Surprised how late he went there, really. He's trying to really stretch the course early on, but he's given Canada a bit of a leash here, and that Canadian boat's fast. I'm surprised he didn't turn right in front of Canada and try and give him some disturbed wind.
I think we're getting relief in here.
Talking about getting relief inside there, Stevie. Are they going to get it?
I think so. I mean, they should be safe. As you go in towards this shoreline, you should be getting a little bit less current here. And we see on our Oracle cloud, we can get down there. We see the wind speed. The Swiss have got more wind out in the middle than where Brazil is. That's what Lisa was telling us. The shoreline is disturbing the wind a bit, causing the wind to be a bit lighter in there at the moment. We'll expect that to change as the day goes on. So potentially a tidal gain for the Canadians, but the Canada team have got more wind at the moment, and we can see in the pack, you're just constantly throwing distance away as you have to dip behind people. Left-hand side of screen, Emirates, Great Britain, last place. That's a shocker. They've been the form team. They're the championship leaders at the moment, Todd, and they are way out the back. There you go, aggression from Seb Snyder there, right in front. Slam dunk in top of Canada. France have got right of way, but the Swiss are going to be well ahead.
Canada won't make either. And all over. Coming. Let's take a bit of margin with the current.
Interesting choice there for both of those boats to tack before the ley line, so they're going to have to do one more manoeuvre and go left turn here.
So here we go into gate number 3. This is the first race of 3 fleet races, as everyone tries to accumulate enough points to be in the top 3 after these next 3 fleet races, and then the race on, the event finale.
Oh, France, they can dive inside if they want. They put the foil down. I'm surprised. Oh, he's changed his mind. Late decision change by the French. They dropped the foil, then they lifted it again. Indecision, I think, with this current, is coming from the right-hand corner of our screen down towards the top left-hand corner, and that's like a treadmill, pushing them, stopping them getting through the gate. So late decision there. Australia up to 4th, Spain in 6th, and in terms of the race for the final, just the points are going to be really stretching. Spain, France and Canada had such a good day yesterday that the other teams, Great Britain, New Zealand, have to make something happen.
And that's as it stands right now. Remember, we still have 2 more fleet races, 10 points to every winner of a race, all the way down to no points if you finish outside the top 10. So there's still 30 points to play for here today. Things can change drastically in SailGP. One thing we can tell you, there's plenty of parity. We've had 4 events so far in Season 5, 4 different winners.
Tight at the top, and a lot of boats choosing to go in towards that San Francisco shoreline. You can see there was quite good wind there, but right now, here we go, right turn for Emirates, Great Britain. They need to make things happen. We're halfway through the race now, Todd. We just got 1 down, heading downwind, away from the wind at the moment. France are stretching out. They've gone fast there. Big gain to the right turn offshore. It was a late decision change by France and Quentin de la Pierre, and when we look at this head-to-head, the Oracle Cloud's going to take us in there, and it's going to show that wind speed on board the French boat is good, but their average speed's a bit lower than the Swiss at the minute, but they're minimising distance if they're ahead.
So as they get ready to go to the next rounding, we go on board with the Swiss.
See the G-force in the turn there. What's that like crossing the boat? It looked like he was pulling a rope climbing a mountain for a minute.
Yeah, you've got to get that timing right. It definitely can be easy if you get the timing right, or it can be really, really difficult.
Yeah, right of way Switzerland here. The French have got to be here. We got the green circle comes on, clarifies it. Looks like we're going to have a split. Another big split on the racecourse. Final upwind left here. This tactical decision's who's made the right call.
At gate 4, the DP World Gate, it is France that will head up course, and as they make their way up there, they'll have one more gate to maneuver to the finish line. Lisa, we go down to the water view. It looked like coming away from the shore was the play. Do you agree with that now?
Yeah, there's just more wind out there, but obviously, as we were talking about, there's that tide where Switzerland is right now. That's the least amount of wind. It's really protected from the land. So unless they nail the foiling maneuver, where it looks like they just did, so it's going to be neck and neck here, but I think France will still come out on top.
Yeah, look at the gains they've got there, Hannah. They're now over 100 meters ahead of both Switzerland and Canada.
Yeah, and Great Britain have made a little gain here. They're up to 7th, and they're going to be potentially set up for a left turn, I think, their hand.
Yeah, and this leg's going to be a little bit different because there's only one mark you've got to go around at the top. They're definitely turning left and heading towards the finish.
Hannah, how far are they calculating where they want to be at this point of the race, knowing that the mark's coming up in some 800 to 1,000 meters?
So you're definitely thinking, when you're going around the gate mark, how does that set you up for the next gate? So it's not just the leg you're on, it's the one after that as well.
Big moment. And we think about the race to the final, Todd, which we shouldn't lose sight of out there today. Canada and Australia, they're well set here, but right now, France out in the lead are going to be back to within 2 points of the Spanish. So Spain have got to keep the hammer down in the middle of the pack. There starts to be a bit of a gap after that. And of course, remember last year in the final, the grand final event, it was Spain against France to get there.
As we give you this great look at the T-Mobile for Business 5G camera angle on board the French right now. Flying pretty high there, Stevie. They got to feel pretty confident with that flight controller.
Oh, we've been looking into the stats a lot, and the French are consistently the highest boat out of the water. Now, that doesn't come without risk, but if you do it well, the higher you can foil out the water, you're generally speaking reducing the drag. There's a lot of other factors in there, but the simple point is less foil or boat in the water, less drag, more speed.
Somehow the Swiss have found the speed, and they are starting to close that gap as it comes under 70 meters. But remember, the French will have one more maneuver, the Swiss will have 2.
Exactly, and I think the French, if the Swiss have made a gain on this side away from the shore, that's where the French are coming back to now. At the moment, as you head in towards San Francisco, what we're going to call the left-hand side of the course, where the Swiss are going, there seems to be consistently less wind, and less wind is not good.
As it stands right now, it would be Canada, Australia, and Spain making it in, with the French missing out by just 2 points. But a lot can change now, especially if France can get this win. 2 more fleet races to go before we have the event final.
Yeah, it just looks a huge gain, and just as we cut away there, you could see Spain were looking like they might be ahead of Canada. It's really a big feature on the course here, but what never stops being a feature is that good manoeuvres mean points, and the French there have done a beautiful manoeuvre. They've sailed a clinical race here, been very clean. They've overtaken the Swiss, and right now, well, they look pretty well set up, left turn and then head straight to that finish line.
So now it looks as if the battle is on for 2nd and 3rd place. Those are valuable points, especially if you were Spain, Canada, and of course the Australians always seem to be in the mix. And here it is, the final mark, and it will be France making that left-hand turn heading towards the finish line.
Yeah, well set up here. Looks like the wind had turned to the right, so those people that had come to the bottom right-hand corner of our screen sailed a lot less distance and in more wind.
And in race number 5 on day 2 at the Oracle San Francisco Sail Grand Prix, the Emirates winning moment goes the way of the French.
After a tough finish yesterday, wasn't it, where they lost that win? Oh, it's tight in there, Spain, dive inside. I think they did have rights, they did just. Huge move by the Spanish. That makes a big difference to our overalls. Tom Slingsby will hate that. Absolutely snuck in on board
And look
Spain.
at Canada, though. Canada has the speed. Can they get the pass?
I think they're going to struggle to get through the disturbed wind, but it's another place gain. 2 places lost for Australia. That's going to put them right back into the fight to make the final.
Big maneuver by Spain and Diego Botín. Australia now will come in 5th.
Well, Emirates, Great Britain, look, they're right in the melee. They still, of course, on the leg going back up towards the next mark, right at the back of the pot there. Slingsby will hate that. Remember at the end of Los Angeles, Todd, Slingsby said every point counts. How crucial will those 2 points be as this day goes on?
So now the battle is on for 7th place. It is currently being held by Red Bull Italy with the Black Foils of New Zealand. We haven't spoken much about them in this race. They look like they're going to grab an 8th.
Yeah, I mean, it's disappointing for the New Zealand team there. The Black Foils are going to be really disappointing. That puts them, they're still in the mix here. They're going to be 6th, but they're over 10 points out of the final with just 2 races left. So they're really relying on some big mistakes from the teams in front.
Germany, Deutsche Bank holding on to 9th. Here come the Americans, US SailGP trying to close down and see if they can get it done. It's
Here we
not
go
going to be
on
the case.
Inside, Todd. Look, there's that mark. They can just sneak inside. They've got the right of way. You've got to thread the needle there. Oh, Bottin, full of confidence and aggressive. And they not only did they dive inside, but they execute the maneuver and look up and foiling already. That was pure aggression.
What a great race as Germany Deutsche Bank just edges out the Americans to claim that point in 9th. The U.S. gets 10th, and Emirates GBR really struggling. They'll come across in 11th. Looking forward to that great racing both in Brazil and New York City. We are now just 80 seconds away from the start of the second race of the day. This will be race number 6, and to confirm what Stevie Morrison reported earlier, it is France that officially gets the win in race number 5, as France is delegated back to 2nd. So that's a big maneuver, Hannah. We talk about it, every point matters. They get 1 point less.
Yeah, and that's going to be really crucial for the race to the final. They're going to have to keep pushing these next 2 races and see if the chips fall in their favor.
All right, so everyone going into the start box now, 50 seconds to go. It is the Americans that lead it in. They need a big result here, Stevie, in a big-time way. But if you're Canada, Spain, Australia, France, do you play it safe here?
I'm not sure you can at this stage. No, I think you've got to get you can't. There's no playing it safe in this start. You've got to get off the line. If you're in the pack, anything can happen. But for New Zealand, for Switzerland, for France, you've got to go and win this race if you want to have a shot at it now. Right-hand side of the screen, Emirates, Great Britain. I think they've blown it in terms of making the final. They're on damage limitation. Top of screen, New Zealand well positioned. De La Pierre once again out back. He's coming in hot, and the Rolex predictor sits on board the Italians, but they're going to have to execute, and they've got a few people charging at them here. 13 seconds to go. I like New Zealand and Italy in the middle of the line. 9 seconds, 8 seconds. Australia are going to be late. The Kiwis are going to come through fast. You've got to win this race, Peter Burling. How you got it timed? Oh, they're fast in the middle of the line. New Zealand, the black foils are going to have the quicker angle, but Spain, I think, will be able to hang on the inside. It's going to be an absolute drag race to Mark 1.
Almost neck and neck, the champions from last year and the black foils, New Zealand, as they approach mark number 1 here in race number 6.
Oh, Emirates Great Britain have done a great job of hanging on the inside. Australia going well as well this time, and it's Canada and France out the back that we get to. Oh, big incident! Emirates Great Britain, they put it down there. They got 2 heeled over. Oh, they've just had a massive incident. Spain have had to peel away, and Emirates Great Britain, oh, it just keeps getting worse for them. Look, middle of the pack, just getting sailed around there on aboard Emirates Great Britain. They just got 2 heeled at Mark 1, and it all went badly wrong, I think. Spain, they've capitalised on that. They're away, and New Zealand in 2nd. Well, New Zealand have got to win this race and hope that Canada and Australia drop back in the fleet. Here we go. We're going to a little replay, Todd. Here we go. Watch the left-hand side, the rudder there. The boat's going to heel over a bit. The rudder's come out. There you go. Rudder pops out. There's no downforce. All of a sudden, the downforce goes, and it gets very, very wet. Left-hand side of screen, a 60, 70, 80 kilometres an hour fire hose for Hannah Mills in the bottom cockpit there. She's going to take some recovering from that. And now, back on the racetrack. Well, the black foils are going to try and cut the corner here. They've got to try and get the inside at the bottom of the course.
Diego Bottin doing a great job there defending his position. So it is Spain in 1st, New Zealand sits in 2nd. Here comes Australia lurking in 3rd. The Italians also there in 4th. And it looks like Seb Schneider's going to try something. He's going to carry this and stretch the course.
Yeah, trying to push a little bit wide. I'm surprised a few more boats might not think about turning left. You see this confused water?
Right.
That's the current line. So that's because the tide's starting to move from right to left a bit more, and it is different from close to the shore and offshore. So there will be a difference of tide here. There will be a current against you, and I think New Zealand are heading back to where there's more wind.
So, Hannah, can you sail through that mess right there in the center of the screen? Is that treacherous, or you just cut right through it?
You can definitely sail through it, but you'll feel it on the foils. The flight controllers will have to deal with that all the way through. But the difference is going to be what difference it makes to your strategy. I think the Kiwis have had to turn that way because of where they were set up, but we'll see how they come back.
Speaking of the conditions down in the water, let's check in with Lisa Darman. And Lisa, has anything changed since the last race in the last 10, 15 minutes?
Yeah, it actually looks quite a bit lighter across the course. So those in the back of the pack, they're definitely struggling a little bit more. Still think that there's options to sort of play the tactics. I guess it's quite gusty out here still. But yeah, overall, a lot lighter and more challenging.
Moments ago, we took you on board that T-Mobile for Business 5G camera angle. You got a good look there as Spain has now stretched their lead out to almost 100 meters. New Zealand sits in second, Australia in third. Here comes Red Bull, Italy, Switzerland. Seb Schneider, Stevie, they're feeling some confidence today.
Yeah, I mean, they've had a good year in the middle of the race. I saw on Kyle Langford, the wing trimmer on Red Bull Italy. I saw on his Instagram, he said we're second in the B fleet. And there has been a little bit of a sort of split in the fleet, I think, that we've seen. But the Swiss are very much striding towards the top of that, making the gains they need to make. And here we come into the Oracle Cloud. This is the head-to-head we want to see. We see there the Kiwis. They're going fast and their average speed is highest, but they're not quite tactically putting it together. I think that the Spanish at the moment, look, they found a little rotation in the wind. They're sailing nearly directly up these ladder lines, whereas New Zealand are not making a lot of progress towards the next gate. So big gain, and it's a tactical gain by the Spanish right there.
And there you see the race to the final on the left-hand side right now. As it stands, you'd have Australia, you'd have Spain, and you'd have Canada in, with France just missing out. So expect the French, Hannah, to start pushing it, maybe taking some more chances?
Yeah, I think they're going to need to. I mean, Canada are back in 11th at the moment, but for the French, if they can just pick up a few more points in this race, that will make a better case for them making the final.
Big problem for them, Todd, Spain being out in the lead. They're their closest rivals, the Spanish, at the moment, but not at the moment because Spain are just heading off down the road. Australia well set at the moment in the race to the final. They're in good shape, but Spain would be leading the overall standings at the moment. And again, New Zealand, well, they've got to get a good result here. They've got to take it on. The Rolex chasing time, they're within 2 seconds, but for me, it's a bigger lead to the Spanish than that.
So here comes a maneuver almost in sync with the black foils behind them. It is Spain out in front, New Zealand sitting in second, top of your screen. That is Australia coming in as well, with the Swiss sitting in fourth. This is gate number 3, the top of the course as they'll spin it around. This is like 3 of 6, so halfway through this race. Remember, we still have one more fleet race to go before we cut the field to only the top 3.
Could be a good little moment for Australia here. I imagine they're going to try and go right turn. They've got to keep clear of New Zealand, but leading off of a right turn, I like that move by Tom Slingsby. He's opened up the course here, and he's potentially sailing back to the side where there's been more wind.
Watch the US.
Constant communication on board the boat. Speaking of communication, we want to communicate once again with Lisa Darmanin, who's down in the water. Lisa, we're starting to see the fog kind of creep in on that top end of the course. Is that going to affect the conditions at all?
Yeah, I mean, the fog has generally brought the wind in, and it has just increased. So, you know, France just rounding the mark. They're in a really beautiful path. I actually think Spain might get the advantage here over Australia heading towards that shoreline.
There it is, Spain on the top of your screen. They won the title last year after Australia ruled for 3 straight years. And there is the race to the final, courtesy of the Oracle Cloud. It is Spain and Australia even on 47. Canada still in there at 42. But, Steve, that's a big gap to France. That's 4 points.
Yeah, it's huge. And Spain are sailing well, aren't they? Australia right of way here. New Zealand need to be confident to get across. They are not confident. They choose to dip behind. That means they are behind. So good news for Australia there. And it's a hard manoeuvre. You can see he couldn't quite judge it perfectly behind. You might think it's quite easy to just gently dip behind, but they're coming together. Their closing speed's about 130 kilometers an hour, so judging that's pretty hard.
And if you're France, Hannah Diamond, are you cheering for another team? You need some help, obviously, because they're sitting in 4th place with that 4-point gap, so they need someone to put some points and take some points away, I guess, from Canada and some of the other teams.
Well, in the position they're in at the moment, all they can do is try and climb the leaderboard. Right. They're going to gain 6 points in the Canadians if the results stay like this, so that very well could happen in the next race.
On board with France as they currently sit in 5th place. Spain has made the turn. Australia will split the course. Here come the Kiwis. Looks like they're going to follow Spain, and then Switzerland in 4th.
Yeah, the Swiss have sailed a nice job here, and we see in this race to the final, as we say, it's really all about the battle between Canada and France at the moment. Canada can't do any worse than they are in this race, so it's going to come down to a bit of a showdown in the next race for sure, and France are starting to have to hope for mistakes from some of the other teams. And right now, the Australians and the Spanish, well, we saw this in the championship final, the grand final at the end of last year. It looked like this in a battle for 2 million. Are they going to go head-to-head in the grand final here as well?
What would be interesting, Stevie and Hannah, is if Spain gets into that final and wins, that would give us 5 different winners in 5 events. So the parity is certainly on in Season 5 for SailGP.
Yeah, there's just a lot of excellence out on that race course, isn't there? A lot of people have said much more open course, isn't it, Hannah? But it seems like it's not bad to do a right turn at the bottom and then get away from that San Francisco shore as soon as you can.
Yeah, I think you take the right turn at the bottom if it allows you to come offshore, further away from that San Francisco shoreline, further up the course. That seems like a bigger priority for the teams.
Yeah, so good news for where New Zealand are heading at the minute here, Todd. I wouldn't be surprised to see potentially a little gain, although they're probably not going to be able to get to the top mark without doing another 3 manoeuvres, which does then put an advantage back. Every time you manoeuvre, you're going to lose distance.
On board with the Swiss.
Bye. What do you want, Arno? Just press the touch. They're still coming.
Look at the different boat speeds here, Todd. Bottom of our screen, New Zealand, well, they're just turning, but they were at 55, 56. Australia have taken a long time to re-accelerate in the lighter wind near the shore there, as we see the Spanish are going all the way into the shoreline. They're nearly at the ley line, but they're going to have to do 2 more manoeuvres. Australia, if they can get to this yellow line at the bottom of our screen, that's the ley line. That's where, in theory, you should be able to sail parallel to that, make it to the top mark. Could be one last manoeuvre for Australia. Could be a chance to put a last-minute overtake on Diego Botín and team.
This is the penultimate leg of race number 6, the second race of the day on Super Sunday from San Francisco. Look at that view as Spain comes in trying to protect their position, and there you see the Rolex chasing time between France and New Zealand. Why do we show you that? Because France is currently in 4th place, and they are trying to pick up as many valuable points as possible.
Yeah, they've gained 1 up here, haven't they? But it looks pretty well set for the Spanish. New Zealand, well, can they get across in front of France? France desperately need points.
I see the mic.
Yeah, this is going to be really crucial for France because at the moment Canada aren't picking up any points from this race at all, so they need to be up in 3rd or 4th to give them the best chance of making the final.
So Spain makes the turn on the final mark, and it is straight to the finish line for them. It looks like Australia will have to settle for 2nd place as Tom Slingsby unable to reel in Diego Botín, and those are the 2 champions in the 4 seasons contested so far in SailGP, and the Emirates winning moment goes the way of the Spanish here in San Francisco in race 6.
France are potentially going to be back behind the Swiss here. They've got the right of way, but Switzerland done a great job of coming wide. Let the French in. Now drop the hammer. Pull the accelerator and push, 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 push. Whoa. Beautiful work by Seb Schneider. They set that up well and executed it brilliantly, but that's not good news for the French. Another place dropped. That's going to leave them quite well behind the Canadians as it stands. And can Canada gain any more points on this final upwind leg for them?
So France with that new markings on the wing, with Kylian Mbappe being part of that team. The good folks at L'Oreal also joining the party. It'll be Red Bull Italy coming in 6th place. Ruggiero Tita and his squad doing a great job. And Emirates GBR, nice bounce back for them as they've had a couple disastrous races. They will finish in 7th.
Yeah, tight there. Brazil have got to give room to the United States. The United States execute a great maneuver on the inside of Brazil, but Canada has gained a place. That's a point. That's going to give them something in this race. They would have had no points. They've got a point, so they are going to move a little further. They'll be 5 points ahead of the French going into the final race in qualifying here.
That could turn out to be a huge situation as the Americans come through. Good race for Taylor Canfield and company as they finish in 8th place. The Brazilians grab 9th, and the final points going to North Star Canada, with Germany Deutsche Bank being kept out of the points.
Yeah, and I think bravery is going to be really key because the teams that are in contention have really got to attack this race. They can't afford to make any mistakes, and you can't control all the other boats, so it's just about executing your best performance.
And momentum indeed. Only 2 teams have won 2 races of the 6 contested so far. Spain, 2-time winners, as are Canada, Stevie. So I got to think they've got to be favorites. And then, of course, you can never count out the Australians and Tom Slingsby.
No, Canada's first mistake for a couple of weekends was a minute ago. Can they turn it round?
1 minute to go as the fog now encompasses the Golden Gate Bridge, but we are still full go here. This is race number 7 at the Oracle San Francisco Sail Grand Prix, and this will determine what 3 teams will race in the event final.
Oh, it's good to see that. Fog's rolling in a little bit away from our racetrack here, Todd, as we see all the boats early back. Once again, United States turn back. Best result this weekend is an 8th. It's not a great weekend for the United States team. They need to hit the start line hard and fast in this race. Oh, Brazil are very loose, right-hand side of screen above New Zealand. No incident. That's good news. That all got a bit lively in there now. Favoured position is that blue triangle, but the Rolex Pro Predictor sits on board the United States, and they have a big gap in the line. Australia, top of screen, are going to try and be fast in in at the top. Slingsby's going to be coming in very, very hot. The French, well, he's got to make something happen, and Pierre is in true fashion being very aggressive at the bottom. It's all about timing now. Nowhere for United. Oh, disaster for Australia. The wing's fallen down. Massive incidents there. Oh, my Lord. Oh, that was a huge moment. Let's hope no one's hurt on that. Oh, my, wow. There was no gap for them to go into there, and that is no good. Really bad as we lead towards Mark 1. France are going to be on the inside. They're going to be well positioned. They need to win the race, and, well, they're well set to win the race now.
At mark number 1, all concerned with the Australians to make sure everyone's okay. Similar incident that happened in New Zealand last season, but the race is on here in race number 7. It is New Zealand, it is France out in front.
Oh, that's huge. Here we go. Excellent maneuver there by the Kiwis. They're going to set up. France have moved away. Now, France need to win the race to get themselves in the final. This would be enough to make the final, I think, at the moment. If they can do that, let's worry about that in a moment. And Canada out the back as well. So Canada struggling here. Spain struggling. Go into that Oracle Cloud, and we can see it's New Zealand are the fastest boat on the racetrack at the moment. Burling is sending it on board the Black Foils. He's not giving up any hope of getting there either right now.
And it's Canada currently who would lose out on making that spot in the final. So the French have just got to hold their heads, hold their nerve all the way around the course.
Spain, France, and Canada right now would go into the final, but all concerned right now on Australia, making sure everyone's okay. Catastrophic incident in the start box before the line went wide and the start was on. It is New Zealand, France, Brazil, Germany right now.
Yeah, big lead change there. It looks like we've just heard news now that everyone is safe on that Australian boat. I can't help but say I'm very relieved to hear that. Massive incident. We'll get back to the live racing, and we can see that Peter Burling, well, he's put the hammer down there. He's going across that tide line. Look how turbulent the water is there. So hard. The boats are hobby-horsing through that water. The turbulent water making it so hard. Black Foils have made it. Leo Takahashi holding on like a cowboy rider there. He's got them round, and they're going to lead at the DP World Gate 2.
Well, New Zealand's best finish so far, Stevie, has been a third. That was in race number 4. As everyone's taking a collective deep breath after that incident at the start of race number 7 with the Aussies.
Yeah, here we go. Canada look back of the pack again, 8th. I think that's not good news for Canada as it sits. Really not good news for them at all. They've got to start gaining some points with France out in front, Spain in 4th. I mean, Australia won't be able to race in the final now. There's no chance you're getting that Australian boat back, so that might be enough to make Canada in, as I think they'll be still, you know, in that top 4, and it's only going to be 3 of 4 going through to it here, as we see New Zealand out in front, well positioned. Right of way, Germany and Brazil. Real tussle in the middle of the pack. Well judged by the Brazilians, and this race course is wide open.
Like 3 of 6 in the final fleet race of the day. We want to take you back to the start. Everyone's okay, but keep your eye on the Australian boat there as it comes into view, left-hand side of your screen.
Yeah, well, they just come in, and they come in really close to those boats behind. I think maybe they came into the back of the Italian boat. That was my inclination there, and perhaps, here we go, we'll look on board the US boat. We're looking to the left-hand side of our screen to see if we can see the US, the Australians. Here you go, come the Australians. Oh my, unbelievable. We're going to have to wait to find out more. I don't know what's happened there exactly, whether that's just a failure on a fitting there. I thought they must have hit another boat in front. I think maybe they just nudged into a boat in front, and then that damaged the forestay on that. We're going to have to see things closer. Camera angle's not right. I mean, that's spectacular scenes. That is not what we want to see, but what's the good news is everyone's okay. Oh, my Lord.
Everyone's okay and accounted for on Australia, but their day is done. Canada was the first team to call that in, and they just basically wing it down. So now the race back on. This is a situation. It would be Spain, Canada, and France now, the top 3, with Australia out of the running. And Hannah, still plenty to play for here on leg 3 of 6. The race to the final with the Australians. To Stevie's point, there's no way they can race today anymore.
No, that's right. And I think Canada actually here have done a really good job. It's saying they're up to 4th. They'll have to go behind Spain in a moment, so maybe 5th or 6th. But they can keep climbing. They'll want some confidence going into that final race when they make it.
Yeah, it looks like a good gain in by the short of Brazil there, Lisa. Is it changing on the racetrack weather-wise at the moment?
Yeah, I think the day's certainly changing. The shore is definitely paying off a little bit better. It's getting lighter out to sea. It is lighter in general. The wind seems to sort of pulsing, so we're getting this really nice puff of breeze, and that's when the right side offshore comes good. And when it gets a little bit lighter, actually the shore seems quite strong.
Lisa, I've got to ask you a follow-up question there. How close were you, or were you close to that Australia incident? And from your perspective, what happened?
Yeah, it was terrifying. I was right near them. It was a huge bang. It looked like as they came in, they were looking for that gap. Big side slip, and that side force, you know, in the past, maybe it just basically the wing stayed and the boat went sideways, and yeah, it just collapsed. And glad to see all those heads pop up okay.
Absolutely. So all the Australian teammates on board are safe and accounted for in another tight situation here.
Jason, they've got to keep clear. Comms were off. Wow, Giles Scott. Cat-like reactions by Giles Scott. Well done on board North Star Canada there. That was a huge mistake by the Swiss team. I think the boats are okay, but they big penalty. There you go. That was a no-brainer for Chief Umpire Craig Mitchell in the Emirates umpire studio there on the bottom left-hand corner. Just not seeing it, or the comms weren't right. I don't know. Everyone's flustered, Todd.
Stevie, I've got to figure this race number 7 here in San Francisco is going to age Craig Mitchell about a decade just on this weekend alone.
Yeah, certainly not proving to be lucky number 7 at the moment, but right out in front, New Zealand are stretching away. France are still doing what they need to do, and Canada, well, they're maybe starting to get the wheels back on the bus. The boat's in one piece, that's the most important thing, and they are making gains through the fleet. They're just doing the simple things well, Hannah.
Yeah, they are, and you know, unfortunately for New Zealand, this won't be enough for them to make the final, but to take the last fleet race win will be definitely something that's good for them.
So Canada, that was mired back in 9th place, they have moved up to 5th. They have righted the ship, so to speak. Spain sits in 4th place right now, and there you see it, courtesy of the Oracle Cloud, the race to the final. Spain on 54 points, Canada 49, France in at 47. And Australia, with that catastrophic incident in the start box, their day is done. So that's what we're looking at right now. Now, things can change. This is like 4 of 6, but the way it plays out, New Zealand looks like they're going to pull off a win. Stevie, I don't think France is going to push it too hard, but look at Brazil coming in with a 3rd. That would be huge for them.
Brazil sailing great in this race, and in fact, it's meant the French have had to shut the door on them and try and block them off. Points are tied at the moment, and it's a tiebreaker gets you through to the final, so they are level on points, France. They need to really stay second, but then the Aussies aren't going to sail, so even if they're behind, the French will be in the final. But you can see the Brazilians, this could be a season-defining race for them. In these tricky conditions, they're starting to really look at grips with it. Marchini, look at that. She's going to put an overtake in on the French here. The Brazilians are on fire.
Of course, the next event will be the NL Rio Sail Grand Prix. That's coming up May 3rd and 4th in Rio. This is the first time SailGP heads to South America. And right now, all we're thinking about is Australia. Will they be able to sail in time for that race in Brazil? Back to live racing action. This is like 5 of 6, the penultimate leg. It's up to the top of the course and then the left-hand turn. And as the black foil is putting distance on everyone, but this is a little too late, Hannah, as the Kiwis did not have their best form on Saturday.
No, and all of these races count for even, so, you know, you've got to put good results in on both Saturday and Sunday if you want to make the final.
Yeah, Spain, look at this move. Spain have the right of way here, Todd. It's definitely more wind towards the bottom of our screen, away from San Fran at the moment. Lisa said that's changing around, but it's a big gain to Spain.
Spanish maintain that priority as France and Brazil have to dip behind them as the Spanish move into 2nd place. Of course, they are the champions from last year, and there you see it continually being updated on the point situation with the Oracle Cloud, but it's pretty much a foregone conclusion. It will be Spain, Canada, and France. And so, Stevie, in play for Spain and France to, again, make it a 5th different winner in 5 events here in SailGP.
Yeah, so I think, and I'm just going to clarify things here. Even if France drop back and are 4th on points, because Australia can't sail, we will have 3 boats in the final, and it will be whoever's in 4th. So, you know, terrible news obviously for the Australians, but just so everyone's aware, even if we see France end up 4th on the points, they will race on the final here. So it's pretty much, we're going to look at those 4 teams. New Zealand, I don't think, are going to be able to do enough from here, despite the race win, but the French are still sailing well. They're still right in it. Canada did have a little bit of a buffer as well. So it's been a great final race for New Zealand. They've just been really hamstrung by the starting this weekend. And when they get a good start, which they did here, look at that. They just put on a masterclass.
Yeah, 2 8th-place finishes out of the 7 fleet races really kind of did the Kiwis in, and we know they'll bounce back big time in May when they get down to Brazil. But it is New Zealand, Spain, France, Brazil, and Canada, the top 5, as they make their way around. It'll be the Kiwis, the Blackfoils, as they'll bring it home in front of the sold-out grandstand here in San Francisco. And it will be the Blackfoils, the New Zealand squad, as they get the Emirates winning moment. The Kiwis win race number 7.
There you go, fans from New Zealand. Maybe not the right time to be talking about it, Todd, but you see left-hand side of screen. United States are back to 10th. Home event. No event's better than 8th. When are things going to change? Have things got to change? What have they got to do, Hannah?
Well, I think it's really clear they're lacking experience on board. Some of the lighter wind venues they're getting the hang of, but something like San Francisco, conditions are challenging here, and it's hard to sail in F50.
Spain will get 2nd place. France will hold on for 3rd, so a big pickup for them, even though to Stevie's point, they were going to make it into that final because of Australia's mishap. And then it'll be Brazil finishing on an up note. Mubadala Brazil will finish in 4th place. Canada will come into 5th.
Starting to get gusty in there. Brazil, what a great result by Mubadala Brazil, Marcini Grail. They're going to be really happy. And Canada, they didn't make it easy for themselves today after a bit of a masterclass out there by them yesterday. They were the quality of the fleet, but right now, I do think that Spanish team are the form boat going into the final. Last 2 races, the momentum's really with them.
Emirates GBR will finish with a 6th on the final race. The Swiss, who've been really sporty, Stevie, over the last 2 days, they've been sailing with so much more confidence. They will come across the line and finish in 7th, just barely ahead of Germany Deutsche Bank, who will finish in 8th. And now the battle is on. Who's going to get 9th and 10th? And it looks like Red Bull Italy just ahead of the Americans.
Penalty sign up on the Americans. It was for a boundary penalty, so I would have thought that will scrub off fairly easily here. But they're in a big gust of wind at the moment. They're diving for the inside of the line. Looks like Roger Tita's going to get through in 9th. And yeah, I mean, that's a tough weekend for these newer teams, the lesser experienced teams in these big conditions here in San Fran. Well, there's going to be some sore wounds, sore egos out there in those boats. Yeah, and I can safely say that was a horrible moment to have to discuss, but fantastic to hear everything's all right. And, one thing I know about Tom Slingsby, he's a fighter, and he's going to not let that team drop their heads. They're going to fight really, really hard. But now it's the fight out here, Todd.
All right, the race at hand as we come up on 45 seconds to go until the event final here at the Oracle San Francisco Sail Grand Prix. Spain, Canada, and France. Hannah Diamond, pick your poison. Who do you like?
Well, that's a tough call here. I think the Spanish are lined up nicely, and I wouldn't bet against them.
Well, here we go. You can see that you're all going to be trying to get the downwind inside end of the line, and the attackers in this situation are going to be Canada. They're the furthest back. Spain have kind of made their bed, and they're looking to put it out.
Here we go, 15 seconds before the start of the event final.
All about being clear at this start is what Diego Bortin said. As we can see now, out of the fog, it's going to be North Star Canada threading the needle between the fleet here, looking for that line to turn right, and it's all about the timing. Oh, the French have nailed it, Todd. They're on the inside, they're fast, they're foiling hard, they've got the right of way, and I do not see anyone leading this French team ahead at Mark 1.
Like a scene out of Master and Commander as they emerge from the fog and they approach mark number 1. It will be the French who get in just barely into the event final, and they will pick up the whole shot here in San Francisco.
Oh, they nailed that start when they needed to. They came through on the attack. Spain are going to have a lovely dive down at Mark 1 and expect them to manoeuvre away first here. There they go in the background. That had to be the call in 3rd place. Canada move away behind. Not the best manoeuvre, and France cover. Now it's going to be a sprint as they all try and line up gate 2. That's the first opportunity for a split, Hannah, but I love where the French are right now. Darker patch there, looks like they found breeze.
Yeah, and the breeze has definitely picked up since the last race, so they've got to be aware that the manoeuvres are going to be slightly different, but Spain had to split at that point. They had to make that first manoeuvre, but I think France are lined up really nicely for the bottom gate.
Don't need to speak a lot of French to understand that super means they're pretty happy on board that French boat right now, and they've really got a big lead, 100 metres there. We see in that Oracle cloud is telling us that they are just constantly faster on board the French boat at the moment. They're just in good breeze, they're moving ahead. And now at gate 2, big decision. I suspect the French will take the right turn. They'll keep it simple, one more manoeuvre right turn. The interesting one, Spain. Spain manoeuvre early. I suspect they'll look for a left turn, try and split the course, but is there opportunities on the race course for an overtake, or have the French already done it?
There's the maneuver as the French come in now at the bottom of the course. This is gate number 2, the DP World Gate. It is France by 100 meters. Don't count out the Canadians, Stevie. We've seen this before. We saw it in Los Angeles. It looks like they were not going to be in the top spot, and they came back and got the pass.
Yeah, it's not. This race is way far from over. We're only on just coming onto leg 3 of 6. We're not even anywhere near halfway, really. And it is Spain who do split away. No surprise there. Constant attack for Botín. And Lisa, what's the breeze looking like down there on the water? Is it looking better offshore still?
Nice, good pressure.
Yeah, I mean, the fog has come all the way into the bay now, so it's changed the game a little bit. I think the Spanish, they're in really good breeze, but where the French are, where originally it was quite light, there is breeze there now, so it's kind of, it's changed again, and I think the French are probably still in a strong position.
So you see the visibility down closer to the water, and this could be a situation with that fog where they might not know where the other team is. But they right now have good visibility as they go through that chopped up water. Spain has the advantage, or right away, I should say.
Yeah, and they've made the jump there over Canada. That obviously was a good call to take that left turn, and now they're sailing into slightly less tide as they get closer to that shoreline.
Right of way Spain here, Hannah, and it looks like they're going to get it. Oh, we called it. Left turn at the bottom was huge. This race is all wide open, but the Spanish boat right now looks so fast.
Yeah, they look really nice and settled now. The breeze is up, don't they? So they're going to be hard to beat from here, but I know that the French will keep pushing.
The thing to remember as well here, Todd, is that the Spanish made a gain by coming away from San Francisco. That's where France are going, where the North Star Canada team are. So potentially Spain are sailing into less wind. Lisa did think it was a bit better on that side, but this race is going to keep going all the way to the wire.
With the San Francisco skyline as a backdrop, the French spin the boat around, currently in second place.
Big grinders across the front there. Matty Van Dam, he's straight across in there. Going to start pushing hard on those handles. And they've got the right of way when they meet back up with the Spanish.
Shooting flow, shooting. Yes, no problem, all good, we're clear.
Just a little bit unsure how they were looking on Canada, and Florian there, calm voice when it was needed. We're clear. I think they're just across, but are they across the French? This race is all on, Todd.
Here we go as they approach gate number 3.
Oh, Nicole sounded confident there. All good, they touched down. I mean, that's a marginal call, but she was confident. That's what you want to hear as a driver out there. Confident calls from your strategist. And to me right now, Spain looking face. Look at that, Nicole van Velden, still with that bad leg. She's struggling across the boat, but you can't say she's not a fighter. That is for sure. As in the background, Canada and France are having to take avoiding action, and that's going to mean a big gain for the Spanish team up at the top here. But another big decision. Do you turn left and head to the shore, or do you take this right turn and hope to find more breeze? Another crucial decision for the chasing boats here.
And here we go. It is Spain that'll make the decision first. And they will opt for the left-hand side, so they will go closer to shore. Who will split the course and who will follow?
I think the Canadians will split. They've got to. They're going to save manoeuvres. France are going to follow, but France are going to lose distance doing that. So really, I think for Spain, that was a huge moment. France always had to split. If they followed Canada, they would have just been sailing in disturbed wind, which they're just going to be sailing slower. At least now they got a chance to be fast, but doing that manoeuvre, they've lost meters in that.
So here it is, the situation at hand. It is Spain out in front. They will go down to the bottom of the course. They will turn, come back up, and then it'll be a left turn to the finish line. Can they hold off the Canadian? Giles Scott, he is a master-class sail, and we'll see what they can pull off. The two-time Olympic gold medalist in the fin class.
Well, they were elbows up in LA, weren't they? And they were hoping for a bit of a double-double here in San Fran, but right now they're going to rely on a mistake for the Spanish because they're sailing really nicely on board that Spanish boat. Get last at gate 3, they were third at gate 3, Hannah, and look at this, nearly 200 meters ahead. I mean, they're going fast.
Yeah, they've got a really great lead. They definitely wanted that left turn at the top. I think they're coming down in really nice pressure at the moment, and if they just keep calm, they should be able to pick their game mark at the bottom and keep it nice and simple.
All right, Hannah, look at your crystal ball. Which way does Diego Botín and the Spanish go when they get to the bottom of the course? What do you think?
Well, I think they'll probably want to turn right. It looks like they're setting up just for the ley line there, so that means they don't have to have any more maneuvers, but Canada are catching up.
Look at the speed difference. Canada checking in around 76 kilometers an hour. The Spanish now just picking up their speed. They hold at 72.
Interesting call here. Yeah, I was going to say, Spain gained by coming away from San Francisco. So he's basically decided, let's do what we did work for us last time. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Keep it simple. They're going to head away from the shore. The tricky decisions with the boats behind. Does Canada follow and try and secure this second place, or do they risk it all? It looks like they're going to try and secure it, so it's France that are going to roll the dice.
And they do. Quentin Delapierre and the French, they turn away. They will opt for the other side, looking for clean air. And now it is Giles Scott hoping that Diego Botín and the Spanish, the defending champions from season 4, make a mistake here as they head upwind.
A Rolex chasing time, 7 seconds for the Canadians to catch up. And the trouble is, because Spain have pushed all the way to the boundary here, Canada are going to end up basically following them. And it's just control, control, control. I think Canada needed to manoeuvre a bit earlier after that gate if they were going to make more of a race of it. For me, Canada are almost saying, okay, you keep making the right decision, Spain, we're just going to follow you and let you have it. Or, fingers crossed for a mistake, which we're just not seeing from that Spanish boat at the moment.
Spain just moments away from being the 5th team in Season 5 to get a win out of 5 events. Stevie, who'd have thought that across the board? 5 different winners in 5 different events.
Well, they seem to like it here in San Francisco, don't they, the Spanish? I mean, they've led a final here, and there you go, Nicole there, good gains here. I mean, you can't wish to hear anything better than that.
On the way. No, they just seem so calm and confident. They're in a controlling position here. The Canadians are going to have to either keep putting the pressure on, hoping for a mistake, but there's not a lot of options left to split from here.
No, Canada will manoeuvre next, probably, and then Spain will just go straight with them. And if they go all the way till they can get to the turning point, then the Spanish have got it in the bag anyway. There go Canada. Expect Spain to follow. Oh, Florian, we do our thing. Well, there you go. I'm surprised he's opened the door a little bit, but they weren't maybe ready for the manoeuvre there.
4, 3, 2, 1. Turning. And pressing out. Good. Nice. Pressing.
Surprised that Diego Boutin does all this in English.
Yeah, I know. It's really impressive. It's great for the commentary, isn't it? It does save us having to do as much talking.
Leg 5 of 6. There is Canada. There is Spain on the right-hand side. Both of them will make a left-hand turn at this final mark as France comes into view. But it looks like the Spanish, Stevie, if they perform properly on this last maneuver, they've got this one in the bag.
Yeah, they've done a nice job. They've just sailed smooth, haven't they? And you can just tell that Diego and Nicole at the back have got a really special connection. They're really understanding each other. The calmness that comes in. Team's work's clean. They've executed that well. Just about a turn now, and then they can enjoy once again an event-winning run to the finish here in San Fran.
3, 2, 1. I'm down.
They make the left-hand turn at the final mark, and there you see the finish line just ahead. As they come across the line, no big shocker here. They won 2 races in the fleet race, and now the Emirates winning moment. The celebration can begin. Spain rules San Francisco again.
Well, I've watched Rafael Nadal win enough tennis events to know that Vamos is a good thing. And I might not speak a lot of Spanish, but what an Emirates winning moment that is there. It means a lot, doesn't it? Their season now is fully up and running. That's huge. North Star Canada, another good result for them. They're really the form team at the moment.
First event win since Season 4 win in San Francisco for the Spanish as they claim this one at the Oracle San Francisco Sail Grand Prix. Diego Boutin, Florian Trittel, the entire squad getting it done. Nicole Vandervelde and Stevie, you talked about it, the injured leg, but she did work on that boat today to get them in. France will come through and they will finish in 3rd, but they will pick up some valuable season points. Once again, tip your cap to the Spanish as they dominate on the Pacific.